What's up, you fucking weirdos? What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Yeah. Weird ones only, we talking that truth. Ghost in the attic, yeah, show me the proof. Aliens creeping, they light in the roof. Minds wide open, we shatter the booth. Conspiracies deep, we dig in the scars. Demons and angels and bodies on Mars. Cryptids be watching, they lurk in the dark. Mental on edge, but we glowing like stars. Welcome to the pod, no cap, it's a seance. Whispers in the static, spirits doing dance. Reptiles in suits, yeah, running the lands. MK Ultra made a puppet of your mans. Wendigo hunger, dogman strut, flat woods, eyes glow. Slice through the cut, Bigfoot tagging trees. Marking the trail, weird ones ride, no room for the frail. Talking about trauma, talking that soul. Peeling back layers, we digging a hole. Sacred geometry, numbers align. Ancestors speak through the veil and the sign. Ayahuasca dreams, third eye lit. Shadow self lurking, we making it spit. No mainstream lies. This the dirt where the weird ones rise from the blood and the hurt. Weird ones only, we talking that truth. Ghosts in the attic, yeah, show me the proof. Aliens creeping, they light in the roof. Minds wide open, we shatter the booth. Conspiracies deep, we dig in the scars. Demons and angels and bodies on Mars. Cryptids be watching, they lurk in the dark. Mental on edge, but we glowing like stars. Voices in the woods got chills on the neck. Black-eyed kids at the door, now we check. CIA tapped in, fluoride drip. Project Bluebeam, watch that script. Talking about grief, talking about fear. Talking about why them voices appear. Healing the mind while breaking the chain. Spiritual warfare deep in the brain. We don't run from the strange, we live in the strange. Tattoo the truth in the scars and the pain. Stay weird, the mantra we own in the name. Reality bent, so we bend to the same. From the attic to the swamp, we tracking the freak. Where the veil get thin and the silence speak. We ain't your norm, we off that grid. Weird as the wave, yo, this where we live.
Would you like to hear a story?
Hey, this is Rochelle Stratton, and you are listening to Kevin with Where the Weird Ones Are. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with a married couple, Leslie and Stephen Shaw. They have a book, documentary. I was gonna say a couple documentaries for some reason. And a podcast coming out called Abduction, or it's already out, called Abductions 101. You can find that on YouTube and Spotify and a couple other platforms, but all those links are going to be in the show notes. So there's a link for the documentary, a link for their book, and a link for their podcast. But yeah, man, it was a awesome conversation, and it was the same as last time, where I just talking to them, I feel like I'm out of my depth a bit. I mean, I know we're just talking about speculation and stuff, and what they know and what they think about and stuff like that, in their experiences. I just when I talk to intelligent people, I feel dumb, I guess is what I'm saying. They were great. I love them to death, and I wish them nothing but success with their book and everything that they're doing and their podcast venture. So, without further ado, shout out to the sponsor, um, Flavors of the Forest, raw garlic dust. It is super potent, way better than anything you're going to get at the store. I promise you that. It's really good. So check them out at flavorsforest.com. You can also follow them on Instagram at flavorsforest. They're great people. Highly recommend their product. And in other, if you are struggling mentally, please, here in the United States, call or text 988. They are equipped to help you out, and give you all the resources that you need to save yourself. So please stay another day. I promise you, it is not worth it in the end. You're only going to be transferring trauma, but I know there's a whole bunch of other modalities to mental health. It's not just suicide. So, but either way, you are loved and you are enough, and I hope you know that. So, all right, let's get into this conversation with Leslie and Stephen Shaw. It was lovely. I really enjoyed it. So, oh, if you guys haven't checked out my book yet, please do so. It's on Amazon. Adventures of Rizzo and Weird Son, book 1 and 2 is out there for you to purchase if you choose to do so. I also submitted my movie script to 2 different competitions, so obviously I'll keep you guys updated on that. And the movie that I am doing myself, things are moving on along quite nicely. I am going to be starting a crowd fund to help pay for the location. So the location is an actual haunted house. So I'll probably tell you guys more about that another time. But either way, I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's where the weird ones go production. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. I have Leslie and Stephen Shaw with me today, 2 lovely people that I've had the pleasure of having on before. It's been almost it's been over a year since the last time
a
we
year and a
spoke.
half, I think, right?
Yeah, about a year and a half. And they only had their first book out at that time, and we talked a lot about their experiences, and they have a whole lot plethora of new things going on in their lives. So I'll give them the floor so they can remind you all who they are and what it is they do. Go ahead, guys.
Thanks. We did publish in last October. We published the second edition of our book, Who They Are and What They're Up to.
With a forward by Karen Wilkinson, also a fellow author.
And experiencer. She's an abductee, and she's pretty famous. And so that's big news. And it's coming out soon in Spanish and in audiobook. And since we met last time, we started a podcast. We're on YouTube with at the @ Abductions 101.
The full title is Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection.
Yeah, that's the full subtitle of the of the play.
And our documentary, since we last spoke, came out too in October of 2024, and it's called Who They Are. It was done by Sky Island Storytelling and Jeremy Norrie.
And Jay Horton Films.
Right.
Jay Horton actually was the narrator for it, and we were just thrilled. Their work was wonderful. I remember when we spoke, we were talking that it was coming out, but it hadn't come out yet, and it got 400,000 views in the first 8 days on YouTube. So I don't know if that's a hit or not, but it
according to them, it is.
Made a splash for sure. And now it's on Roku and Tubi and Flex and a bunch of other ones. So we'll send you the list, and you can put it in the notes. And we're going to be at Contact in the Desert. I'm really excited. I just paid the fee for it, and we're going to have a little table again. And
we'll be like 3 out of the last 4 years we've got a table.
Rub elbows with other believers and abductees and our people, you know.
Yeah, that's in Arizona or Nevada.
No, it's in California.
California.
Oh, it is in California.
Indian Wells area. That's east of Palm Springs.
It's in the desert part of east of LA. So
okay. I don't know
not
why
quite
I was
into Arizona
thinking...
yet, but yeah, same kind of weather.
It's actually about a 25-minute drive from where we live, so it's very convenient.
I know, it's so easy.
That is
for us.
very.
We get to go home every night. We don't have to deal with a hotel or travel or anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where expenses really kill you if you have to do the long traveling, and then also, the hotels or motels.
So we're lucky that
way.
Yeah, we live there nearby, and it makes sense for us to do it. We don't really do any other ones. We don't do there's one in Oregon called McManafee, I believe. It's the place, and a really big festival. Really interested in doing it someday, but just every time I balk at the idea of schlepping all the stuff up to Oregon,
The whole field of disseminating information is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, books are almost becoming passé. but they may make a little bit of a comeback because they're finding that, children, as an example, they encode and learn better from books than they do from video screens.
I'm hoping the audiobook, though,
the audio
reaches
book
out
might
to the
make a bit of a
younger,
splash,
the younger audiences, maybe. Hopefully.
Right.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I've if I can speak, I authored 2 books, and I would love to have it done in audio. I mean, they're more theatrical books. They're not, about theories and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Like, I would have to get somebody who's like overly theatrical with their voice too, or that can like do other people's, like when it's the dialogue and stuff. So that would be pretty fun, a fun production. Maybe I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would feel like I'd feel funny.
We had a good one with our publishers. I thought we had a good
Yeah.
one chosen to do our book,
To do the
and
audio
English,
part,
the English version, and he just backed out.
He wouldn't do it. Maybe it's
And the
because of the
second one-
subject.
Aw.
I don't know, or maybe he didn't want to try and figure out how to pronounce all those ancient Sumerian words and stuff like that we have inside this.
So we're having a little bit of trouble getting that, the audio thing.
Yeah, we haven't found the right person yet for it.
That's a bit of a pain.
But they do give you a selection of
man.
voices, so there was a few dramatic ones, as I recall.
Yeah, the second one also. I think,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we don't know.
And it's not as
We don't know
expensive as I thought. It's a couple $1,000, I think it was. Something.
Yeah, we prepaid for it. At least we don't have to come up with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an expensive
So,
endeavor. It really
Yes.
is.
oh yeah, all this creative stuff, it can get pretty pricey and kind of break the bank here and there, for certain things, for certain modalities. I'm trying to break into the film industry and stuff like that, and I didn't realize the things that went into that, so that is a learning curve in itself. So, like, I can just imagine. So, but I did want to ask you, since we last spoke, you had a generational visitor by the name of O'Glegley, and I was curious if you've seen him lately.
Well, I've seen either him or versions of our cousins. As of, I can tell you the exact date and the time.
We call aliens cousins.
Yeah, because
Okay.
they really are. They are, according to our
Yeah.
research and our experiences. They're not. They're not coming from Arcturus or the area of the Pleiades, which again is not a planet; it's an area.
I know everyone says, "Oh, they're Pleiadians,"
No,
you
they're
know.
not.
But the Pleiades is a constellation. It's not a place, that you can come from,
It's not a planet. So anyway,
I don't think they come from there. I guess you could come from one of the 7 stars, I suppose.
Yeah, this past December 1st, which would have been my brother's birthday if he were still around, I was approached at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was in my astral body. I tend to hang out there, especially around the waxing gibbous moon. I found out that I do more of my traveling around the waxing gibbous moon.
And our research shows that aliens bother us in the astral realm too. They don't just bother us physically.
So I was doing what I do. Sometimes I'll like meet with a group of people, whatever, in a room, and we're talking and that kind of stuff. And then these 2 big guys, 2 big white guys with receding hairlines. One was much bigger than the other, probably about 6'6", which is about the size of O'Glegley, but much heavier set. And they just basically pushed me up against the wall by the neck, and my whole body just went. It was like they hit me with a beam, and my body just went numb. Okay, so I couldn't do anything,
shoot.
and they started to examine me. Okay, look in my mouth and my eyes and that kind of stuff, and just had me up against the wall. And I wasn't necessarily scared, but I was intimidated, that's for sure, and I couldn't do anything. And then they just let me go, and I just kind of gathered my wits and just went about talking to other people, and then they came up and did it again. And this time, I had enough sense to start asking questions. Like, what do you want? What are you doing this for? What's your name? And the smaller of the 2 guys, or 2 entities, let me put it that way, told me his name, and I remembered it at the time, okay, and I wish when I actually got back into my physical body that I just wrote it down, but I didn't. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it was just odd that it happened on what would have been my brother's birthday, and he was the murder suicide. No, he killed our mother, then killed himself
on his birthday.
On his birthday,
yeah.
Before he killed the two cats first. I guess he wanted to take them with him, but again, he was starting to become a victim. He'd been a victim too of the
abduction phenomena.
Of our cousins from being a very young age.
And affected his mental health for his whole life, really. You know,
towards the end it did too. Yeah, he was
kind of hermit-like.
Never really comfortable with relationships. I mean, he wasn't really a hermit to start with. I mean, he was well liked. He taught calculus for fun at a college level, and he was was a draftsman engineer. And he had this goal to be retired by the time he was about 42, and he almost did it. But a bad investment. This went wrong, whatever, and he ended up being like a caregiver to my mom. And when my dad passed that same year, like a couple months before, it became all on him. And I come from a family of automatic writers. I just recently did 23andMe, and I found my genetic background, and it's the most recent part of my genetic background is pure British, and then just before that it was Scottish, and just before that it was Irish, Icelandic, going all the way back to Welsh. Okay, so anyway, but the funny thing is that since we talked, we've I've done a lot of research too, and things like Luis Elizondo's book Imminent, where the A-tip guy who released the Go Fast gimbal and the Tic-Tac videos, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently the government, our lovely government, spent a lot of money on doing PET scans and MRI scans of people's brains, ones that had abilities to remote view and had ESP.
And of abductees.
And abductees. And they found two common things: that they had overly developed caudate putamen, which is toward the base of the brain by the thalamus, and the parahippocampal gyrus. Both these are hyperdeveloped or hyperactive in people that have these abilities.
ESP
and
so
the other
on,
thing they found too was that there is an extremely high tendency for this to be more active in people that have, guess what, Scottish background and American Cherokee Indian. Okay, so anyways, it's just like I've had this stuff going on that I know of since I was 3 years of age, and it's still happening today.
Yeah, like a year ago. I thought this one was
over
interesting.
A year ago, yeah.
Tell them about the brain zapping one.
Oh, yeah, this was not long after we wrote our book.
I think they were mad at us for writing the book, actually.
They're not too happy with me, let me put it that way.
Yeah, they're kind of angry with Steve lately.
Yeah, I was on an examination table, just like we're talking right now, and I could see my brain being scanned, and it was on video screen, and there were these tall, skinny doctors around me with lab coats, and they were like zapping me, and I could feel the zaps in my head. Zzz, zzz, and they're saying, this guy knows too much. Let's zap him here. And I could see them zapping. I could feel them zapping me too. Okay, so this is the different thing. And then since that time too, I've also had the recurring UFO dream. Well, I'm in the astral body. I'm in the bedroom, and then I start to feel this low frequency hum in my body, and then I hear the hum, and next thing you know, I'm looking at these UFOs going over in the twilight type sky. It starts more like an airplane, then it slowly turns more into a UFO, and it's always in the twilight, which is kind of like what the astral realm is. And sometimes the UFO will land, and sometimes one of these tall, skinny aliens will get out. The most recent time one got out and was really ticked off at me. He said, "Listen, I'm going to hit you with like 1 billion volts of energy if you don't stop what you're doing, And there were people around with me, and we sat down and had a powwow about this with my sister and a couple other people that we know. Said, "You saw that too, right? This just happened, right?" I said, "Yeah, it happened." And I don't know if I just have more ability in that area than other people, but like the astral realm is something that I have a lot of experience in.
And I think
it's not a dream.
I think they're attracted to psychic people. Every time I interview an abductee, they're a psychic of some kind. They're a healer or a medium or something like
Yeah.
that. You know, it seems like that's one of their criteria for abduction is maybe that they can make a psychic connection with us.
Yeah, that's super interesting because a lot of I've noticed the same parallels with people that I've talked to about this stuff. People that tend to have an abduction story also have mediumship abilities of some kind, whether it's strong or they're just learning or something like that. Um, and it's interesting too that you know, when we talk about aliens, UFOs and stuff, we always we always find ourselves down the road of government cover-ups, right? And
Right.
then, the most recent file release that um, everybody knows 1 million pages or 3 million pages. I was reading through them and they were talking about that he was having the pineal glands of penguins sent to his labs or sent to his home so that either he or he could have scientists study them for astral projection. And I always find it fascinating that there are so many stories of the government getting involved with remote viewing, astral projection, psychic stuff. It's really interesting.
And I know this might sound a bit wild, but Steven is still able to astral project where I'm not. I'm on a medication that makes me unable to do it. But he still can, and I've always wanted to find out about the Antarctic ice sheet. What's underneath the Antarctic ice sheet? Is there really a settlement, an alien settlement there?
A city.
Or cousins down there? So Stephen has a standing order from me to go down to Antarctica the next time.
And I went down once.
So he found himself astral, and he said, "Oh, Leslie, I remember Leslie told me to do this." So
I was flying. I was flying in the air in the astral realm, going that I'm going to go to Antarctica. I remembered in the astral. Said, "Okay, I have a mission to go to Antarctica," and I was getting there, and I was like getting to what looked like Antarctica, and I was met by this man. This being saying, "Nope,
he blocked his way.
You're not allowed here." No, because I want to see the city. Nope, you're not allowed here. Go back. And so I had to turn around.
And then we heard from a psychic friend, one of our podcasts, in fact, that he says apparently our government employs remote viewers as kind of sentries around Antarctica and what's going on there. And I think Steve ran right into one of them the other day, So
I still wake up like floating above my body in bed. I'm in the room. I remember the other night, a while ago too, maybe a year ago. I needed to go to the bathroom. It was about 6:00 in the morning, and it was dark. But I was in the bedroom, just hovering above my body. And I didn't occur to me at the time, but I had to really go pee, right? So, anyways, I jumped out of bed. At that time, I was 250 pounds. Okay, I've lost 45 pounds since then, but I was 250 at the time. I jumped out of bed and went to the door, and I couldn't open the door. I said, "What the?" And I turned around and said, "Oh, my body's still in bed."
He'd forgotten his body.
And I went back and I looked at myself. For a split second, I thought, "Did I just die?" And I thought, "No, I didn't just die. The cord's still attached." So I just lay back down on my body, and then I just got back up the normal way.
And got up the regular way, yeah.
But you see, this type of stuff is not. It's like Mike Tyson says, the first time you get hit in the face, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face the first time. Well, I've been punched in the face at least 1,000 times. Okay, so 1,001 doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Hearing knocks behind my head before I go to sleep,
or entities crawling into bed with
me, or like a phantom car. A phantom car came crashing through the bedroom about 9 months ago. It was
the astral realm.
In the astral realm, I was floating above my body, and there's just basically it's just as if a car came crashing right through the wall. It happened twice. Okay, and this, if anybody would think that, okay, a car just crashed through your wall, that's exactly the way it sounded. Most people would think, "Am I losing my mind?" Okay, well, not me. I mean,
Yeah, he's used to it. Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Been going on so long, his whole life.
Yeah, 62 years.
That's wild. I can't say that I've never astral projected. I think that I might have a couple of times when I was younger, but I can't really remember the experience. But do you still feel the same? Like you still feel like you're in your normal body?
No, it feels a little different. When it's one of the ways you can get astral is wake up inside the dream. Because when you're dreaming, you're already astral.
Mhm.
Your astral body is separate from your physical body, but kind of wrapped in this dream cocoon. And you can wake up inside the dream. Like, let's say you're dreaming along and you see your dead grandmother, this is a dream now, right? And you try and
Mm.
look at your hands or jump and try and fly. And then something happens. The dream kind of wafts away,
Mhm.
and you're above your physical body in your bedroom. And now you can astral project, and everything becomes clearer too. It's like suddenly the fog of a dream sort of crystallizes a little bit.
It's a conscious projection. Once you're conscious and you're aware, you can take control. And the astral body is an emotional body, but it's basically moved by intentional thought or logic. But
Yeah.
it is a very, so the place that you really want to go, let's say like Leslie, when she was doing
Yeah.
it, she wanted to go
I
scuba
always
diving.
wanted to go scuba diving and was afraid to, because I also have inner ear problems and
Right.
a burst eardrum, so I could never do it, right? But I
Mhm.
always wanted to, and so the first thing I do when I go astral is I just used to dive into the ocean and swim down all the way to the bottom.
Or
And,
go to Egypt. You went to Egypt.
yeah, I went to Egypt one time, twice. You're right,
Twice. You did.
But yeah, but that's what he means by emotional body. It tends to do that, the thing you always wanted to do or really wanted to do,
And don't try and move your arm by actually like trying to move your physical arm. You just say,
You'll slam back in your
move
body.
forward.
Yeah.
You just think you move forward, but don't try and move because you'll be pulled back in.
Yeah, you'll move your
okay.
physical arm
Yeah.
instead, and you'll slam right back in your
Right.
body.
Mhm.
But after a while of doing it, you start to feel the difference between
Right.
the astral body and the physical body, and you can start moving your astral body without waking
Right.
yourself up.
It's like riding a bike. It's like the first few times it's going to be hard to keep
Practice,
your
yeah.
balance, but eventually it can become like second nature. So
Wow. That's wild. I find that I find astral projection stories just so fascinating. Mainly because I'm jealous. I haven't put the work in to do it, to like wake up or anything like that. So I
Right.
can't be too jealous because I haven't actually put in the work. But
And it's not that much
there
work. People think it's a huge amount of work, but it's
the chanting and the buzzing of the
you got to open the chakras by chanting, and you got to do some meditation work. And we did it for about 6 months before we were able to.
Well, I already knew how to do it, but it was.
Well, okay, for me,
Right.
it took about 6 months of chanting and meditation, and then they gave us an astral projection class.
Yeah.
Taught us how to get out of the body and stuff. And at the end of that, it was an 8-hour class. And at the end of that class, I went home and started doing the practices. And that very night, I popped out for the first time. And I was so surprised because suddenly I was about 6 inches from the ceiling, looking at that cottage cheese ceiling that we all have
we had,
in houses back then. And I was so struck and surprised. I went, wow! And I slammed right back into my body so hard. I actually bounced in the bed,
Yeah.
It's hard to stay out when you're first getting started with it.
Oh, I can imagine. I still think about those ceilings, to be honest with you. Now that since you bring it up, I've always wondered why. You know what I mean? Like I remember being a kid and I'm just like, why is it like that?
Yeah. Somebody
A lot of
sprayed it on,
places.
and
Right.
It was
But
it was a fad in the 60s and the early 70s.
the 70s, yeah. Fortunately, it's
Yeah, it
mostly
sure
been
was.
I've had
torn out.
I've had the
now, yeah.
pleasure of using airless water sprayers to take off those ceilings in older homes, and that's a really messy job.
His father was a contractor, and he
I
worked
can
with
imagine.
Cabinet maker and
as that kind of work.
I've done a lot of stuff in my life.
Nice.
Yeah, he's worn many a hat, I must
Nice.
say.
I
But I don't know
I
if
was
your
wondering if
audience
you
remembers
didn't mind.
the main.
Go ahead.
Yeah, your main
Sorry.
5 days of experiences.
Oh no,
know?
you were asking Kevin. You're asking a question.
Yeah,
Were you
I was
asking a
going to,
specific
but
question?
I think we're delayed.
Oh, okay, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I think there's a slight one. So I guess my question, what I was trying to ask was, um, if you guys didn't mind giving a quick synopsis to your book one, and then the new one, and the
Sure.
differences between the two.
Well, we didn't really anticipate how interested people would be in all of our experiences. I just thought, so I included a few of them in the preface of the first book, and just kind of as a this is where we're coming from thing, you know. But there was so much interest in that particular aspect of it. I decided to flesh that out and give it a whole chapter to it. So chapter 1 is now Stephen's abduction experiences and his family's abduction experiences, and that includes a lot of weird experiences that don't always just fit perfectly into the abduction model, but are still really odd, you know, things. Because they tamper with your memory, and so God knows what you're going to remember, you know. Like his mother remembered them as Chinese people one time, dancing around the living room, and the boys saw them as gnomes when they were young. You
Yes,
know?
my brother slept in the closet for 2 years, and I asked him once, and I said, "Bill, why do you sleep in the closet all the time?" He said, "Well, I'm afraid of the little men that come at night." And I believed him because I'd seen the little men myself when I was about 8 years old. And so I knew that, okay, if I'd seen them and he's seeing them, I can understand why I was sleeping on the top of the bunk bed and he was on the bottom of the bunk bed. I was older and he was younger, so he got to see probably a better view of them and
Closer view, yeah.
So, yeah, he was disturbed about it. He also blocked out a lot of his early memories. I asked him a few different times. I said, I asked him about different parts of his life, and he said, I just can't remember.
He has almost no memory of his
Just can't
childhood.
remember. And this is a brilliant man too. He was, it's like he just like blocked these things out. And I was, I touched bases with an old friend from junior high school, and
oh yeah, it's our last podcast that we released.
Oh, by the way, our book is also different because we have a foreword now by Karen Wilkinson.
Yeah.
She also wrote the book Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest.
She's an abductee. Yeah. One of the ones they're using is like a human incubator, you know.
She's had 4. She's had 4 children.
Stealing the fetuses from them.
It's a kind of a scary book to read, but it's actually very much along the lines of what we have found with our research.
Oh yes.
That we're dealing with the terrestrial entities that live here and have lived here for a long time, and they're using humans because they are basically humans. This more advanced version of us that are using humans as basically to keep themselves viable and breeding with us, and basically, they live here. So they live here for a long time.
Yeah, and so in the book, after our experiences, the first chapter is we have to educate the public a little bit on ufology, just so that when we give you our theories, that people can understand it. So we do a real crash course of UFO 101, progression through about 80 years of government cover-ups and mass sightings and stuff like that. So, and then the next chapter is about the recent sightings that Elizondo broke to the public. The Tic Tac and the Go Fast and the gimbal videos. And then at the chapter after that, we begin with our theories that we're really dealing with a breakaway branch of humanity rather than real aliens. And, you know, we think this because whenever we get DNA off of them, sure enough, they're human. And the mutations we're seeing in them are the exact mutations you'd expect to see in a underground civilizations. You know,
Right.
the bigger eyes and the bioluminescent skin and so on, right?
Also, too, the larger head, because they say the bigger the brain, the bigger the drain. And it's kind of funny because I also did a lot of research into the book *Sapiens* by Harari. That goes into the recent history of like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens and Denisovans and the different versions of us. You know, the Homo erectus that were actually around for 2 million years, and they're our progenitors. But it turns out that as nature selects for the bigger brain, you know, it only takes up 3 to 4% of our body weight, but it takes up 25% of our energy usage. So the bigger the brain you have, the less resources can be given to the muscles. So you can see with our cousins that have these bigger heads and bigger eyes, but their limbs are more atrophied. So what he found and what they found in paleontology is that as the brain gets bigger and takes more resources, the musculature is going to get smaller. Okay, this absolutely just dovetails with what we've been saying and what we are seeing.
Right.
Okay, so it's just that's the way it selects. When you go subsurface, nature selects against having you covered with hair.
And then, you know, Karen and people like her, they kept reporting that they were getting impregnated by aliens, not through some in vitro process, which means the zygote could be anything, but any combination thereof to be put inside somebody. But they were raping them. So if you're raping us and making babies with us, I mean, what else can you be? You have to be human. You can't be anything else, you know? So, and that was important. And also our theory of them living here. It's kind of obvious. They're seen 10,000 times a year. And we have reports of them going back thousands of years, we think. Yep. And so it's pointing a lot more towards residency than visitorship, you know.
Yeah, and a thing I wanted to touch on real quick, I was going to get to that story from Paul Solomon. I went to Charles Evans Hughes Jr. High School in Woodland Hills from 73 to 75, and I grew up in Woodland Hills. And as the further research we've done is that mass sightings were fairly common in Woodland Hills, even going back to 1928, when there was a really big mass sighting that a lot of people saw. And throughout the 70s, there were sightings at like the Reseda drive-in movie theater. But the big one happened when I happened to be off school because I had sprained my ankle, and it was during PE. And there's a squad about 30 13-year-olds were like sitting down on the tarmac, ready to like run on the field, and this big black soundless UFO, boomerang shape, started doing circles around the school perimeter. And all these kids, now think of this. These are 13-year-old white kids that all they want to do is get out and run and play basketball or do something, right? They sat on the tarmac for 40 to 45 minutes
just staring
watching
at
this thing circle the school, gradually get higher. The PE teachers, they went and they got their Polaroid cameras and they started snapping pictures of this. And the kids, like Paul said, we were just watching it. I said, were you mesmerized? I said, well, I don't know. It may have been, but when have you ever gotten 13-year-old boys not getting up and running around and saying, what is that? Or just saying something. You just watched it for 40 minutes.
We think they may have been under some sort of a hypnosis.
Right. And I saw that first sighting I saw at the same, I tracked it in my diary. I kept the diary luckily. It was sometime in late March 1974 when I was still 13 years of age. And it was an orange ball that was going from south to north horizontally, maybe a couple hundred feet up in the air.
Heading, we think, towards the Rocketdyne planet.
Right. But like in 1928, Rocketdyne wasn't there. So this thing has been going on, and there's been sightings since then and before then. But I saw And now there are a lot of people who are seeing this thing called an orangish yellow, orangish red sphere, and it was big
Like a big glowing
during that
orange
whole time frame.
sun, you know, kind of.
Right. So yeah. So I don't know if they were looking for me or I just happened to be this like because I'm a little more psychic than the average person, and sensitive, unfortunately.
I think they reacted to him. I think that's when
I saw it and it stopped.
When they're slowly going over towns, I think they're sort of reaching out psychically to see if there's, you know, a potential abductee out in the mix, you know.
Yeah.
If they can make a psychic
And
connection.
I called Griffith Park Observatory the next night about it. You know, did you guys see that? It says no, we don't have our telescope aimed that direction. We're like looking at the moon and the stars.
And we've heard a lot of reports, UFO reports, where a person will be, say, driving along a dark road or whatever, and they'll spot a UFO in the distance, and they'll think to themselves, "Oh my God, a UFO!" And then the UFO stops and starts coming towards them, frequently ending in an abduction scenario.
And when we moved down,
I think they're listening for us.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You know, and when we moved down to here, to where we live currently, within just a few days of our actually moving into this house,
yeah, we had a UFO.
We went outside our backyard, just like 9:30
like
at night.
saying, "Hi, Steve, we know."
And it was just sitting right there, big white one, and it was just soundless, of course, like they always do. And it started doing its zigzag move, and then it went off over towards the north. And we weren't the only ones that saw it.
At supersonic speed.
Yeah, another couple, a young couple that used to live here, they also saw it too the same night.
Some other witnesses.
It wasn't just a misidentification.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, Sky Valley's another place where there have been quite a number of UFOs.
We've seen two.
We've seen like Sonora, California, where we built our house. One of the big, if you research it, it's one of the biggest hotspots for alien abduction and UFO sightings. It seems like we keep on tracking wherever we move. We keep on tracking or being attracted to places where our cousins, you know, have a lot of activity.
Have a base. Yeah.
We're only an hour's drive away from Giant Rock and the Integratron. You know, I worked on the Marine base there, which is an hour and 20-minute drive. I worked on there for years. I did my military duty part of that on the military base.
And we live along the 33rd parallel here in Los Angeles area, and the 33rd parallel is kind of famous for UFO activity. Living along it puts your chances of seeing a UFO up pretty high, much higher. I forget the data on it, but
it's much higher.
So, you know, if you want to see a UFO, join us out here in sunny California. Stop shoveling snow out there, you know.
Yeah.
And we in our book also we also cover stuff that the artifacts that are coming out of Tula and Ojos, Mexico.
Oh yeah, show the one we got.
Oh yeah.
Here, I'll hold it and you talk about it.
Okay, go ahead. You do it better as far as showing it.
Yeah, these things are dating to between 9 and 29,000 years old.
Right, accurately being dated, not this BS type of dating.
And you see the little alien faces on this side.
Yeah.
And then on this side, there's a little shrimp guy he's like shaped like a shrimp, but his face is coming out, you know, of this this mask kind of thing, almost like he's in a spacesuit or whatever.
I was gonna say almost like an astronaut.
And then there's like planets at the top, a shooting star here.
And then on the back.
And then on the back, it's at the bottom of the piece, and it's not as good a condition, but there's a spaceship with a tail.
Yeah, there you can see it.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Spaceship with kind of
like a sperm tail.
Like a sperm tail, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're using what's called terrestrial cosmogenic nuclide dating, and they're using the manganese patina, which is something that cannot be faked by anybody. It's something that occurs in nature over a period of time, and they're also finding on a lot of these older artifacts, which are the more which are the better artifacts that are going back sometimes 20, 30,000 years. You're finding calcite calcite deposits on them, which is basically like a stalactite or a stalagmite, which again,
That's another type of
Mhm.
patina, isn't it? There.
it's something that is calcium carbonate that basically forms, and it forms like like you go in caves, right? But the interesting thing under under mass spectrometry, basically a high resolution mass
Spectroscopy or something?
spectroscopy, right? Spectroscopy, right? Yeah, they're finding that the patina, the manganese patina, it's etched in to the actual substrate of the material. Okay, so it's not painted on. It's something that's actually been there long enough to where it actually adheres to the subsurface.
And this takes thousands of years.
Thousands, if not tens of thousands.
So
depending how thick.
These amazing artifacts coming out of central Mexico, they're covered in Anunnaki and Egyptian symbols and hieroglyphics, and proving the Sitchin to be right about the Anunnaki presence in the New World, which he claims happened. And then these new discoveries, there's a discovery now in, it's called the Abzu, in the Sumerian tablets talk about the Abzu as the kingdom of Enki, the engineer, who had a huge mining operation down in South Africa at the Place of the Waters, it was called. Well, the Place of the Waters, we think, is where the Zambezi River is, and it reaches the coast in a huge bay. And just up the river a little bit is Victoria Falls and Lake, what's the name of the lake?
Nyassa.
Nyassa. So there's a huge water area down there, and sure enough, from space they've been able to detect the outline of an enormous kingdom down there, and their archaeology is finding walls and ruins and these ancient mines, and the detritus at the bottom of these mines is testing at 200,000 years old.
Plus.
And this doesn't just predate modern man's ability to mine stuff. It predates modern man,
Right. It's Homo sapien.
Sapien.
Yeah,
man,
no, we're Homo sapien at that point. That even the tests are coming back to saying the same thing. It doesn't matter what Harari's work when Sapiens says that mankind didn't, as far as we can see, mankind did not learn how to control fire until about 300,000 years ago.
Right.
According to Sitchin and according to other people that I've talked to and studied with, that the uplift that occurred with humanity happened about 300,000 years ago, where we were given the ability to understand language and be able to think symbolically. Like I say, you can't build a pyramid unless you have a blueprint. Okay, you can't just do telepathy and just have uneducated helpers, which basically became very educated, very dexterous, and very intelligent helpers that did a lot of the work. But you still have to have a plan. And if you're making a machine, you have to have a plan.
And this is another one of the missing links in humanity that needs to be explained, right? We went from Homo erectus to Homo sapien, which should have been like 2 million years, in about 50,000 years.
Right.
And one way this could happen would be if the Anunnaki are telling us the truth in their Sumerian tablets, that they use their own DNA to uplift us and giving us a neocortex. The difference between Homo erectus and Homo sapien really is the neocortex, the ability to imagine, the ability to speak and rationally think and use logic.
These are all things you can see and test and, touch. These are all things that are not, just this is my thought, feeling, or opinion. These are things you can actually measure.
So that if this is an uplifting by the Anunnaki, then they gave us an enormous gift right there. But the price of that gift is that we've been their slaves for thousands upon thousands of years, mining in their ancient mines,
They played God. They played God for a long time. They played God.
And we think also the discoveries under the Giza Plateau, we think these are all pointing towards Sitchin's being vindicated posthumously, and we think he's right. We say so in our book. We say one thing we noticed was the Sumerian and Babylonian stories called the Enuma Elish. They happen to fit the anomalies and explain away the anomalies in our bizarre solar system, like why we have an asteroid belt, why the moon is the biggest satellite. Our moon is the biggest satellite for any planet in the solar system. Why Pluto has this bizarro orbit, and why it's a rock planet
and
way
the
out
perturbations in Neptune and Uranus.
and the perturbations in those two gas giants.
And they have found a brown dwarf out there toward the Oort cloud. They actually have found a brown dwarf.
That might be responsible for the perturbations right there.
Yeah, our solar system is so much bigger than people think. They think, we talk about interstellar space. Well, interstellar space starts at 100 astronomical units, which is about 10 billion miles. So it's about 2.5 times past Pluto, right? Well,
the Oort
cloud, which is part of our solar system, is as far away as 100,000 astronomical units. And if you take our solar system going across, it's about 1 to 1.5 light years across, just our solar system. And so when people talk about interstellar space, it's still part of our solar system. Like this, 3i Atlas came from the Oort cloud. They're saying it's from outside the solar system. No, if it came from the Oort cloud, it's part of the solar system. If it's from interstellar space, it doesn't matter. Interstellar space is only 10 billion miles away, but it's still part of our solar system.
And this planet Nibiru, Sitchin's planet for the Anunnaki, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be circling a brown dwarf, which, by the way, has been discovered, as Stephen was saying. It's supposed to circle this brown dwarf and in this huge 3,600-year orbit, just zooming through our solar system once every 3,600 years. That would explain some of the perturbations in our orbit, and also why we have an asteroid belt. Supposedly, this planet, when it went through one of its passes through our solar system, it crashed into another.
You were talking about billions of years now.
Yeah, billions of years ago, it crashed into another planet. It turned half of it into rubble, and the other half became Earth eventually.
Right.
And one of its big moons went with us. So that could explain why we have an asteroid belt and why our Earth, why all the continents of Earth were all on one side at one point, and why our moon is so colossal.
Right, because the impact would have left all the mass on one side. All the secondary mass would have been on one side until the continental drift and tectonic plate activity.
Yeah, I mean, the planet, if you broke a planet in half, sooner or later the two halves would turn back into a ball. It's just sort of how planets work as far as how they eventually coalesce back into a spherical shape.
Periodic table.
Yeah.
Unless
sorry, I feel like we went too far out into the solar system.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just letting you talk, and then by the time I realized you were done, I was like, oh, my turn.
Yes, it's your turn. Yeah.
I find it interesting, unless the Earth is flat, but I don't think that. Anyways, but I do. One of the interesting things that you had said was the bigger the brain, the less muscle atrophy there is in the body, and there's like an obvious to like layman's people, like people that don't really believe in the stuff that we know or that we've seen, people like you guys, and but like you talk about like giraffes or elephants or gorillas, their brains they're a lot smaller, but yet they have these massive muscular bodies. So, and then you get to us, and our brains are a bit bigger than most. And yes, we still can build muscle and stuff like that, but not as astronomically as them.
And
comparatively.
in proportion to our bodies, our heads are larger, and
the Neanderthals actually had very big brains too, but they were also they were heavy bone density. They had a different diet. It's interesting that Homo sapiens has maybe some of us have like 1 to 3% of Neanderthal, and maybe some of us have some Denisovan in us and that kind of stuff. But the research shows there's really two theories are going. There's one that's basically that we would never breed with Neanderthals because we were just too different. And we're warlike. We went to war against the Neanderthals. We lost the first time and won the second time. So we came from South Africa and came up towards the Middle East and then into Europe. But the Neanderthals were not as clever as us apparently, but they were stronger, but they were not as clever. And so that was the thing that Enki gave us. He gave us more intelligence, so we could make better tools.
And the
We can make
Sapiens
better
book,
tools.
the Sapiens book, kind of backs it up as far as the Anunnaki,
Right.
the Anunnaki stories and the tablets. Is that supposedly Enki is down in South Africa creating mankind, creating humans, and that is the area from which Homo sapiens come from.
Right. That is the birthplace of Homo sapiens.
And then they moved further north and ended up in Mesopotamia and finally into Europe and so on. But our birthplace is right at the place of the universe.
If you want to have just a little bit more muscularity, you take just a little bit of the Neanderthal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you take a little bit and you mix it in with the
DNA.
Homo sapiens to make Homo sapiens sapiens, so they'd be a little stronger than they maybe first were. So that's why some people have like between 1% and 3%. It's a mixing that occurred because they have the ability to do it. We're doing the same thing. We did our first cloning of a sheep back in 1986, I think it was. You know, we're screwing around with
I remember them talking about it
cloning.
when I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade too.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, we've been screwing
We're not
around
too
with
far
that.
away from being able to do it too, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, I think our cousins are, you know, our theory doesn't just explain the UFOs and the aliens and a lot of this underground bases and underground launchings and stuff that are seen. It also explains the whole cryptid thing. Because our cousins, we think because they're down there becoming less and less viable, they had to resort to using genetic engineering to keep their population going. And now we think that they've actually had to start infusing their population with regular infusions of surface DNA. Yeah. And it explains cattle mutilations. If they went underground, they would take cattle with them. Right? But those herds may also be becoming non-viable and need regular infusions of DNA from surface beasts. And the cryptid thing, we think they're breeding. That's why Bigfoot is testing half human.
Yeah, that's been proven now.
Yeah, the mitochondrial DNA is consistently coming back as human. Bigfoot is half human. And, you know, you can't, you know, a woman couldn't screw an ape and make a Bigfoot. It has to be genetic engineering, you know. And so who's genetically engineering hybrids on our planet right now? Well, the aliens are.
If you ask Karen Wilkinson, she will absolutely tell you that.
Yeah, you know, it's the aliens doing it. And so
it's our cousin.
And why not breed Bigfoots if you need Bigfoots? If you need you know, super strong labor force, why not? We think they use them as sentries to guard the entrances to their underground kingdom, and we also think they use them as recon for surface news, you know, to gain surface information.
Maybe to gather elk. Apparently they like elk. Our cousins like the taste of elk.
Yeah, and maybe Bigfoot brings food back. Who knows? Maybe he's got a duty every night to go out and find stuff that they're after, or at least information that they want, you know?
Yeah.
And that would explain why Bigfoot is seen all over the world, and yet there is no viable breeding population living on the surface anywhere that we've been able to find.
Because they're not living primarily on the surface.
They're just popping out of the underworld when they're needed. And that's why the Bigfoot and UFO hotspots are both frequently overlap.
And you're frequently seen with UFOs too.
Yeah.
Yes. I've heard a ton of stories of either a UFO sighting and then Bigfoot, or Bigfoot then UFO. There's so many of them, and which, you know, led me to the what I call a conclusion of that they're probably either working with or for. But that also what you said there, that they might be using cryptids to like to guard the entrances, which to me a lot of the sightings are in national parks, and then like people go missing a lot, and
Yep.
I wonder if they like stumble on to an entrance and then they go missing. Or there, because there's a ton of stories of people that will be out in these deep in the national parks or forests, I mean,
Yes.
and they lose track of time, and it's like a year. There's like I think I've found at least 3 stories of somebody hiking, and then next thing they know, they're somewhere else, and it's been like a year or so
Yeah.
already gone by.
The Rip Van Winkle effect, where
Yeah.
or people disappear for a time.
Oh, they're
like they're put in stasis and then brought back
Yeah.
out of
and
stasis
there are
or something.
there are the numerous stories from Ireland and that part of the world where especially young children go missing, and they will turn up like 10, 20 years later, and they say I was in the fairy realm or the fairy kingdom,
Yeah.
like the Tuatha
Oh,
De Danann,
wow.
that again were
Yeah.
like this advanced race
That went underground.
that went underground because we found out that the surface is kind of dangerous, because
Yeah.
one of the things we found when we first did our book was that these celestial events happen a lot more frequently than people think.
The Younger Dryas comet is what
Yeah.
he's referring to.
Yeah, the near extinction level events and things such as that. So yeah, if you find that you get to a certain point in your civilization and your technology, and you can actually see ahead of time that there's going to be another collision, and you can't do anything really about it. But what you can do is you can go
Dig
subsurface
underground.
or get off the planet.
Those are your only two choices.
That's what
if
the
you wanna
Bible
live.
says. It's also the Bible and the Vedas and the Chinese texts. It says
You're right.
Zoroastrian. They says the same thing.
Yeah.
The voice came down and said, "You better do something because you're going to see a winter like you've never seen."
When I went to college, I studied ancient art history, and I did study the Great Flood. So when I met Steve and we started putting our theories together, one of the things that really made sense to me is, why would you go underground? Why? Why would a whole population want to go underground? And to us, the obvious reason is a celestial impact of some kind.
Right.
If you want to survive, you have to recede deep underground and to wait it out down there, or launch into space. Those are your only two choices. And we think that the flood myths that I was reading at the time in college, there were about 500 of them that were attributed to all different cultures, all around the world, who had this flood myth. And most of the flood myths started the same way, where there was a massive warning, where God warned everybody, or an emissary of God warned everybody that this horrible flood was coming. So we think the people of 13,000 years ago on this planet were more advanced than we give them credit for. They certainly had advanced astronomy. They were able to see a comet and plot its course, know it was going to crash into them, and that's why they started digging underground, why they started building arcs, or the boats, various different ways of surviving. And like the Derinkuyu city, we think was constructed to survive the flood, and has been repurposed over the centuries for other things, and so they're attributing it to those later civilizations. But we think it's over 12,000 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't have a thought on that, because that's kind of out of my depth. But
Yeah.
I been meaning to check out your documentary, and now I'm even more enticed to check that out. So what do you think about like a disclosure day? Do you think that the announcement of releasing these files that they have on aliens, do you think that's a real thing? Do you think it's a bluff? Do you
I
think it's misdirection? What do you think about that?
I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. That's my
I
opinion.
mean, we'd love to hope for it. We're always hoping,
Right.
hoping. But and he did supposedly release. President Trump just announced the release of a bunch of stuff. We'll have to wait and see if it's real, if it's going to come
Right.
through. There also, he can announce it all day, but the legacy program, they're they're well entrenched in our government and may not budge as much as he would like.
Yeah, a little known thing. Nixon tried to get this done, right?
And
They had
Yeah.
right?
they had the tape. They had the filming of the Holloman
Airfield.
Holloman Airfield of a UFO coming down, landing at the
Mhm.
airfield, and these beings with like masks on
Gray aliens.
got out
With big
and
noses.
communicated, and it was already there was a film ready to be made about it, and it was all ready to go. And at the last second, the Pentagon pulled it and said, "Nope,
Yeah, they
you're
pulled the
not
footage.
going to do this." And interestingly enough, about a year and a half later, Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out. Apparently, enough information got out so that Spielberg got a hold of it,
the information.
and
yeah.
that whole landing at Holloman was the basis for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But
Oh,
Nixon
no,
tried to do it. Clinton tried to do it. Trump can say whatever he wants. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Pentagon ain't going to let it happen.
Well,
in my opinion.
I've said this publicly. I think Congress should stop paying them. As soon as they stop cooperating and releasing stuff, stop paying them. This is America. If you want to hurt somebody, stop paying them.
The problem
Yeah,
is their
right.
clearance isn't high enough. They don't have high enough clearance. Even the president doesn't. The Pentagon looks at him as a temporary employee.
Yeah, but
That's
Congress
all he
needs
is.
the purse string.
He doesn't have the clearance of the Illuminati or of the Majestic 12. He doesn't have the clearance.
Mhm.
He just doesn't.
At some point, we think they stop telling the legacy program.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
telling presidents about the UFO, phenomenon, because they started seeing presidents as big mouth, loose cannons, instead of their commander in chief.
Yeah.
Eisenhower was
Yeah.
the last one, probably.
Well,
That's
yeah. I think actually Daddy Bush was maybe the last.
Maybe. I don't know.
He was head of the
Kennedy-
CIA,
Kennedy
Yeah.
didn't have the clearance, though.
No, but there's a lot of stories around, UFO stuff and aliens with JFK that, he at least had an inkling, and there's a laundry list of things that it seemed like he wanted the public to know before he died, and then he died.
Yeah.
Well, he did get that debriefing by Eisenhower before he took office, so he did
Right.
get debriefed. So Eisenhower would have told him, and guess who got us to the moon? It was Kennedy. He was the one who basically, we're going to the moon. So,
Yeah.
Because it is hard.
not because it's easy, but because it's hard.
Sorry. Terrible New England accents we have.
That's all right. I don't even have one, and I've lived here my whole life.
Your audience is probably cringing right now.
That's all right. Oh man. There's so many facets to this. I agree with your guys' theories. I think that they're more in line to what I believe with when it comes to things that I've seen, stories that I've heard, and stuff like that. I would like to know for sure.
Me too.
That'd be
Me
great.
too.
Before I die, I would rather not die and then be like, oh, now I can't tell everybody, dude. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
But
Like Nibiru, the planet Nibiru is supposed to make its entrance into the inner solar system in, I believe, 2190, according to Sitchin.
well,
And
of course,
we'll all be dead. But
Yep.
if we get reincarnated and we're hanging out, that's something I'd like to see, one way or the other. Are the Anunnaki really the aliens they claim themselves to be? And it's not just a claim they made like for 100 years. This is a claim that is in their tablets for thousands of years. So if they were hoaxing us or lying to us, it was a long-term perpetrated hoax.
It's all just a big goof, Leslie. It's all just a goof.
You thought you were part alien.
Oh man, I've talked to so many people. There's like people at work, everyday people that don't really think of stuff like this, and I tell them what my podcast is about, and we kind of get into a little bit of a conversation. Ghosts seems to be the easiest acceptable one out of the modalities that I talk about.
Right.
The Bigfoot is like a more like a maybe. All the other cryptids are like, no, and then aliens are usually a hard no.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one gentleman that I was speaking with, and I was like, and he said he doesn't believe in aliens, and then we got into a conversation of other things that we believe in. And I was like, well, how do you know that these other things aren't real if you can't see them? You know what I mean? And he's like, I guess you have a point. And I'm like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to convince you that aliens are real. I'm just saying we don't know for 100% concrete. I mean, there's people out there that I'm sure are like, yeah. I mean, like you, like Greg, O'Glegley, Greg.
Yeah,
The-
Oakley's been with our family for about 120 years.
That we know
yeah.
of.
The same character. It's the same character that's been showing up
Yeah.
to different people at different times. So the
Yeah.
same character. But like say, for me, it's not even a case of if, it's a case of why. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
the funny thing is, some people say they don't believe in aliens. Well, actually, I don't truly believe in aliens, actually, really, because
Right.
I see them as being
They're cousins.
terrestrial.
Yeah.
They're cousins.
Not,
So yeah, there's
right.
like, what would be the motivation of people traveling billions of, maybe thousands of light years to
Right.
come here and study us, and then decide, oh, let's breed with them just for a laugh and see what happens, and keep on
Yeah.
coming back for hundreds and hundreds of years. Let's keep on bugging the same family, too, and just keep on taking, samples of them,
Yeah.
stealing their sperm and whatever. I mean, what's the motivation? But if you have a genetic link and a genetic tie, and you live here, there's a lot more of a connection.
Yeah. But we started to see that just if you look at the data of abductees, they're mostly Caucasian. And I was thinking, well, why? At the beginning, when we were doing our research, why? Why care? Why would aliens coming here from God knows where would they specifically care about Caucasian DNA? And then we started studying it more and realizing that the Nordics are a branch of the Caucasian race. So
Mhm.
as fellow Caucasians, they have all kinds of uses for Caucasian DNA.
And like you're talking about people disappearing in the national forests, and
usually
hunters,
Germans,
and also they're primarily the ones. They can be from all different kinds of ages. They can be 80 years old or 20, and experienced hunters with groups.
Yeah.
Okay, and they just disappear, and there's no explanation. And they're frequently of Germanic background.
Yeah. We
It's
think
really
that
strange.
wow.
it's
Paulides' work
This
talks
comes
about
from
it.
David Paulides' work on. It's called
Missing.
Missing 411.
411, yeah.
Yeah, he's made 2 shows about it. He's got us convinced. We're convinced. What we think it is that when the aliens can take you without getting caught taking you, they would rather keep you. If you meet their criteria of DNA that they're after, they would rather just keep you. But they can't get away with that most of the time. But if they can snatch somebody alone out of the wilderness, it's always just chalked up to this person is lost in the wilderness. And they can get
Yeah.
away with keeping them, and do.
We do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's their fate? What's that person's fate? Is he just
Don't know.
hooked up to a sperm sucking machine 24 hours a day?
Boy
Is
and
he
his dog.
working? Is he working deep underground in a mine all day and then hooked up
Well,
to a sperm machine?
80-year-old hunter isn't going to be like working in them. They might have other uses.
But the younger guys, maybe they put them in the work in
Yeah.
the mines. I don't know.
But they go. There's no explanation. In some of these cases, the CIA miraculously, on just a state issue or a local issue, the CIA
Just shows up. Yeah.
That guy you've been hunting in the same place for 20 years by that lake. They found his gun. His dogs were inside of his trailer. And everything looked normal. They found his hunting pack. They found his pistol like 500 feet away. No sign of him. Experienced guy. He'd been there, been hunting his whole life, and just disappeared. Funny thing was, like 2 nights before that, there's a UFO seen by another couple that were across the lake.
Yeah.
A UFO was kind of flying around. Well, he was there.
Yeah. And one of the guys that was taken and gone, just disappeared.
Yeah.
The night before he was taken the next day, but that night he contacted his girlfriend and told her that he had seen a UFO while he was hunting the day before, or that day. So, again, the UFO was reported in a place where a Germanic background elk hunter vanished without a trace.
Yeah.
And
we all know about how many people disappear up in Alaska. I mean, that's that's common.
There's like 16,000 missing Alaskans. And I said in our documentary, I said, yeah, sure, some of them are eaten by a bear or fell down a crevasse or something, but most of them are just gone.
No trace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot. There's a lot of them.
And there's 2 underground bases that we know of in Alaska.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a UFO hotspot. That's why it's a Bigfoot hotspot. And that's why they have something called the Alaska Triangles, because it's so many sightings and so many disappearances.
Yeah, just like the shoot, I can't think of it. It's the
Bermuda,
the Basin Strait in Australia. It's a little
the Blue Mountain area.
I think so. Yeah,
Not
and
Blue Ridge. That's
like ships, it's like right on the coast there, and ships and planes go missing all the time.
Is that near Sydney?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, just east of Sydney is these mountains called the Blue Mountains.
Yeah,
and they're supposed to be a joint U.S.-Australian / alien military base.
Yes,
there.
That's what because it's like right in that area, and then there was a span of like 50 years where it was like on the dot, not necessarily right on the dot, but it was every 10 years, either a big ship or a plane would just vanish.
Yeah, they just pull somebody out of the sky so easy.
Yeah. It's
really
interesting.
There's a good book on the Blue Mountains of Australia. There's a good book. The guy, I don't think it's around.
Yeah, we have it. We just got it, so we'll have to report on it later.
I've been reading it. It's
we
interesting.
started to reading it, but it's definitely another UFO hotspot that we know has a military connection.
Yeah, there's way too much. There's way too many of these stories, and these connections, for me not to believe.
Right.
And something going on. There's a part of me, like, because I kind of think that when I think about cryptids, ghosts, or aliens, I kind of like think of them as all being interdimensional, where they're just like hopping through timelines or realms or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. It's just a theory that I think is fun, that I like to throw out there and think about. But that
Actually,
leads
Kevin,
me to thinking that they are here regardless,
One of the things I like about our theories is that it does not require any theoretical physics to be true.
Right.
You don't need a wormhole. You don't need faster than light travel. You don't need time travel. And you don't need interdimensional travel. But we do know they're opening portals. And maybe that is interdimensional travel. We don't. What do we know about that, right?
Yeah. When Oakley approached me, the blue-white being and magnetized coins in my pocket, that was definitely came through a doorway.
Opened a portal for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And the blue-white lights, it filled the whole room, but it stopped right where I was laying. It didn't like go, like a flashlight was shining all the way through the house. It just stopped.
Filled the room, though.
Filled the room, but it filled the room, stopped right where it was standing, and then it said, "Hi, Steve," in my ear. Not in my head, in my ear.
And it was shaped like a tall gray, although it glowed.
6.5 feet tall.
Was it glowing with this blue-white light itself, almost like it was flooded with this light,
Yeah. And they say all the coins, 6 hours later, all the coins, my dad and I could pick the coins up, just with each other, it didn't matter. They were like sticking together, just like they were complete, like magnetized. That's not supposed to be possible with U.S. coins. They're not magnetic,
Right.
So yeah, whatever hit me, It was physical proof. And then, of course, I blacked out after
Yeah.
the being left again.
We surmise he was abducted and during the abduction exposed to a very powerful electromagnetic field of some kind.
Oh,
you know?
I've definitely had my sperm taken more than.
Yeah, he probably has alien children, you know.
I probably do.
Probably. Probably.
One of the people we had on our show, his name is Chris O'Leary. He and his brother were taken, and when he was 18 years old, the aliens told him, they said, we made a son with your DNA, a half hybrid son. And he really wants to meet you, you know, and like, surprise, you know,
They said they Maury Poviched him.
Yeah, the aliens Maury Poviched him and said, surprise, you have a son, you know, and they introduced him to his son, and that was an entirely weird event, right, you know. But, so...
He said that, yes, his son, you know, what do you do for fun? His son didn't understand.
He didn't understand the concept of fun. Yeah, so they shut down the interview with that verboten question of all things. So what do you do for fun? Was a verboten question.
You know what? Karen Wilkinson said very much the same thing too. Actually, her 4 hybrid kids who she met, they kind of like looked at her like kind of like with pity and disdain. And she said they don't have souls. Karen views it very much like
she's a Christian.
She sees them as being not having souls and being demonic. Okay, so that's her take on it. And they are acting demonically. Whenever they kidnap you and basically impregnate you, then steal your fetus, that's rape. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's kidnapping and rape.
That's bad.
Yeah. So they're opportunists. But you know, they also she said she didn't get any sense from her kids that she met that they had any sense of having a connection to her, number one, and really having any idea what fun is. Yeah. So I think they really want to replace us. I think they believe that Homo sapiens sapien, we're running our time, and we're too noisy, we're too destructive. I think they would rather just say, okay, let's go on to the next version that actually cares about the planet. That's kind of what I'm seeing. That's what I'm kind of hearing. You know, they're trying to infiltrate us. I think they really kind of want to replace this as the long-term goal.
The message is always stop using nukes and take better care of the planet. And this message is like constant. And how long are they going to be patient while we don't do what they're asking? You know, and they have the power to change our scenario quite a bit. And look at it from their point of view. They live under our feet. We're like the obnoxious neighbors upstairs, you know.
They aren't
and there's 8 billion of us, you know.
Yeah. We are loud
greedy,
and destructive,
self-serving, destructive, you know, jerks.
Yeah. Oh man, I really hope that we can come to something as in unison on our own to basically take care of the planet, because building cities is not helping either. And like all this AI stuff that we're pretty soon not even going to know what's real anymore.
Why do we build cities and live in them? Is it sort of like an ant colony
I don't
residual
understand
behavior in our DNA or something?
Let me live in one tall building amongst 100 other people, you know? Like, I have to interact with these people every single day because I have to walk in and out of my house, you know? Like, I don't really understand it. I don't get it. I don't know how we ended up there, but I mean, we did, so here we are. I'd rather live in the woods. That's what I want. I mean, I kind of do right now. So I'm close, just not close enough. I still
What
have
part
a
of Maine
neighbor
are you
right
in?
there. I'm in southern Maine, Sanford to be exact. So
Is that
it's
near the capital then, right?
I'm about an hour from the capital.
Yeah. That region
Yeah.
then. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We want to get to Acadia Park someday.
You
That's on my bucket
should.
list.
It's
Yeah.
really pretty. You really should. You really should. Anywho, if you guys don't mind, one last time letting the people know that may have missed it in the beginning, let them know who you are, where they can find you, your podcast, and all that.
Okay. We have a website with, of course, all this information. It's whotheyarebook.com. And we're on Instagram at leslie.shaw.author. And we have a documentary. It's called Who They Are. And that's on
Tubi, Roku,
Apple TV, Plex, Fossum.
of course,
Relay is new.
YouTube.
And you can still catch it on YouTube. And then our book, the new edition of our book, it's Who They Are and What They're Up To.
With the foreword by Karen Wilkinson.
Yep, and it's going to be in Spanish and audiobook soon. And what am I forgetting?
And soon to be in the Czech language too, which doesn't affect us.
Yeah. Oh, in our podcast, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Since we met with you last, we started a podcast. It's on YouTube, and it's the @Abductions 101.
Right.
And we're really enjoying being podcasters too.
Right. And we're going to Contact in the Desert again this year. We'll have a booth.
That's right.
Nice. So you guys are enjoying the being a part of the podcast field.
Yes, I really like it. It's like a forum for our theories, and also, we really are exploring it. We don't feel like we know everything about the phenomenon, and
right.
By talking to people, we're learning a lot. We've met with the star seeds. We're learning a lot from. This is, if you want to hear what the aliens are, the propaganda that they're spreading, they're doing it through their star seeds. This whole
Federation thing.
This BS about their galactic federation pulled straight out of Star Trek. If that isn't a what we want to hear ism, I don't know what is.
Unfortunately, it doesn't fit what we.
And so we think that they were playing gods to us for thousands of years, and now they're playing space aliens, because they can't get away with the god thing anymore.
Always keep them looking up instead of looking down.
Yep, that's what we think.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to do this and to chat with me. I love talking to you guys because it's just like last time when you guys have something that you want to say, you go and then it's like a information overload, and I just I don't know what it is, but it's like I get goosebumps kind of the more you talk, and then by the time you're done talking and then it's like my turn, I'm like, oh, I should say something. I got to say something now. So
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you guys are welcome anytime. Like, listening to you guys talk is amazing. I'm definitely going to have to check out your podcast as well, because just listening to your theories it has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Time is our greatest currency right now, and the fact that you chose to do this, sit down with me, it means the world to me. So thank you.
And thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And thanks everyone out there and your audience for listening in, for tuning in.
And all their information and all that stuff, is all their links and all that is going to be in the show notes. So don't you worry if you don't feel like searching. They'll be right there. So everybody at home listening and or watching, please follow, share, leave a rating and review. If your podcatcher doesn't allow you to leave a review, please consider doing so on the website, where the weird ones are podcast.com. That is also where you can get some merch, hot sauce, supplements, and read some of my short stories if you feel like doing so. Other than that, you guys all know the drill. Question everything and stay weird.
In the quiet of the night, when the world feels far, there's a voice through the static, like a falling star. It calls the misfits, the dreamers, the ones who see the shadows in the corners, the truth we barely believe. From the pine tree woods to the desert skies, they talk of ghosts and aliens with wonder in their eyes, not afraid to ask the questions that others won't dare. 'Cause the world gets strange when you stop and stare. Come gather around where the weird ones are, by the fireside glow or a midnight car, where the stories run deep and the secrets fly like owls in the dark or stars in the sky. If you've ever felt lost like you don't belong, you found your place, you found your song, right here where the weird ones are. They'll talk of cryptids, time slips, and deja vu, of spirits that linger and what might be true. But more than the monsters, it's the people you'll find who dare to be open with curious minds. It's not about fear, it's the thrill of the ride, to question the world with wonder as guide. So pull up a chair, let your freak flag fly, we're the seekers of truth beneath the sky. Yeah, come gather around where the weird ones are, on the moonlit thoughts and cosmic scars, where the veil feels thin and the questions burn, and we chase the strange at every turn. You're not alone, not in the dark, you're with a tribe. You found the spark right here where the weird ones are. For the ones who wonder, for the ones who know, welcome home.